So let me show you a few more things. I'd like to show you how to add other kinds of content, because all we did was just add some text and attach a file, but there's lots of other things that you could do. I'd also like to show you how to do announcements, because those are really important for communicating with your students. It's a good idea to have a weekly announcement. Even though you have everything in your syllabus, the students need to know. How many of your students go back and read the syllabus every week? Probably not all of them. So it's also a nice way of chunking your content so that it's not so overwhelming for students too. You just let them know, this week, this is what we're focusing on. Here are your steps. Here's the thing that you should be working on long term. And you can do that in a video like Marta was doing. I'll also show you how to add assignments as well so that you can collect work from students. Rather than having students email you documents, you can actually collect and grade work inside Blackboard. So let me share my screen again, and I'm going to come back to our class here. And I'm just going to go to the course content area because there's no content in there. And we created, under build content, we created a content folder. I also pointed out that there's learning module is another way of organizing content with a table of contents. And we did create item. There's another one under here under create called file. Now you might wonder, why don't I just use create file to add my syllabus, because it's just a file that I'm attaching. Well, the reason why is because you can put the name of it and you can attach the file, but you can't put anything else. So when I attach a file, I like to let students know what's here, what's actually going to be, what are they downloading. So instead I use the create item and I do the syllabus, and then I give them a note like, download the syllabus and read it carefully. There will be a quiz. So I think that's much more effective than just having a file. But you certainly can just add a file. But if you want to put some words around the file, then you need to use create item rather than create file. Under build content, you also have some places that you can add some other kinds of content. So you can add audio files, you can add images or videos, and then you can also easily add a link to another website. So if you were in another window and you found something fabulous on YouTube that you wanted to use, you can, let's see, how about our monologue of the Golden Globes. For some reason we want to show our students that. So I can link to this page by grabbing the link up here, and I can go to build content, create a web link, give it a title, and I paste the URL in here. Oh, maybe I didn't copy it. Copy, paste. And then I can type something about why I want them to watch this video. And then I just hit submit. And now the students have this link to that external resource, and they have my instructions or a description of it. So this is great for adding links to websites. If you wanted to add a video, like Kathleen mentioned, you can actually use build content and video, and you can, under mashups, you can do a YouTube video. And this is pretty nice because it will, oh, come on, stay open there. All right, my mouse isn't working right now. There we go. So I search for something in YouTube, or I can even just paste the web address. I select it, and it puts in the title. Again, I can put in a description here. And then what I think is nice, instead of just showing a thumbnail of a video, you can actually embed the video right inside your class. So this is always great because the more you can keep your students in Blackboard, the better for them. They're not getting lost anywhere. So then I just need to submit. And this video now is embedded right here in Blackboard. I don't need to leave Blackboard. I can just click play and I can watch it right here. And the same thing happens with Kaltura videos, is that you can have them play right here inside your course. They don't go anywhere. They don't get lost. They don't close windows by accident.
I have a question, Anne.
Yeah.
The book that I'm using for my class has an online version.
Yep.
Would it make sense to embed that in Blackboard?
Possibly. So you'll want to check with your publisher, because some of them also have companion content along with the textbook, and that's something I can help you explore. But yes, you can certainly link the e-version of your textbook here. Yep, Guy.
And I use some videos that are in Canopy. That's part of the UMA system. That would work the same way?
So you'll actually get a link from the librarian to your video. So they do the copyright clearance and they schedule it for a certain amount of time and all that. And then they give you a link to the video, and you can do either one of these. You can do video or web link.
Okay. What I had done was just copy the web link, and that's when it's created problems for students being able to get access to. So I think if I'm able to use it as either a video or a web link,
would make it, make it easier, smoother.
Okay, thank you.
Now, sometimes you want to have the link right inside text. You don't necessarily want to have an item. You might have an explanation about something, and you might just want to have a link in there. Here is some text. Here is a link. Click here. Obviously, you don't ever want to do click here. You want to say what exactly it is that they're clicking on. But you can highlight some text, and there is a link button. And if you use this link button, then you can paste in a link to a website, and then you'll want to open it in a new window. And then I'll insert it. And now this is blue and underlined. So when I submit this, I'm going to have to put a name. When I submit this, now I've got some text and I've got a link right in here. So say you have like 3 articles online that you want the students to read, you can actually put those links right in the same item rather than putting 3 different web links there. And when I click on it, it opens in a new window, close it, and I'm back here at Blackboard.
Sorry, Anne, how did you add that click here?
Yeah, so I'll show you that one again. I'm inside an item, and everywhere you have the text editor. So this box with the 3 rows of buttons, I have it in announcements, I have it in folder, I have it in item, I have it in assignments and discussion board. You get this anywhere that you can type in text in Blackboard. I just highlight the text, and then there is this button that looks like a chain link, and that's to insert edit link. I click on that button and it opens up a new window, and I paste in the URL, and then I click insert. And if I forgot to change this target to open it in a new window, then it reminds me here, change to open it in a new window. Yes, I want to open it in a new window. And then I hit submit, and it's now a link that I can click on and go to. So you might do that in an announcement sometime. You might say, I'll go to the announcements, and I'm going to click this create announcement button. And I might say assignments for week 5. Watch this video and so then I would highlight the text, click on the link button, paste in the URL, open it in a new window, and insert. And what's really cool about announcements is, one, they're often the home page. It's the first thing that students will see. But you can also send a copy of the announcement right away in email. That way you don't have to wait until the day that the student happens to log into Blackboard. They can get that announcement right away. And if you have a link in an announcement, they can click on it from their email and do it. So they don't even have to go to Blackboard. I will warn you, though, that some things don't come through in announcements. So if you tried to put a Panopto video, a Kaltura video in here, or if you tried to attach a file, those things don't come through in the email. They have to come to Blackboard and download those things from Blackboard. So, but links like to YouTube and things like that, those do work. So if you do want to send the email out right away rather than waiting until students do that, you just check this box and you hit submit. Now, if you realized, oh, wait, I made a mistake, I forgot to put the link to this article, and you go in to edit it, if this box is still checked when I hit submit, a second email goes out. So if you go to edit any announcements, just uncheck that box again, unless you do want a second announcement to be emailed, because there have been cases where students have gotten like 3 or 4 emails right in a row because the instructor went in to edit the announcement and left that box checked. Now, one last thing I'd like to show you, I'm going to go back to this course content area, and I'm going to add an assignment because I want students to submit work. And instead of building content, now I'm going to go to assessments. And in the assessments drop-down, there are a number of things here, but the one thing we're going to talk about today is assignments. So when I click on assignment, it asks me for a couple of things that are required, like the name. So I'll just say paper number 1. Here are the instructions. So I tell the students what to do. And if I have maybe the instructions in another document, I can upload them here. And then there are a couple other things that are required, like the points possible. So maybe I'll just say 100 points. I would also suggest using this due date function because it doesn't just put the date on the assignment, it also adds it to the global calendar. And let me quickly show you that. So the global calendar is up where your name is in the top right-hand corner of Blackboard. And I'm just going to open this in a new tab so I don't lose my place. So this is the global calendar, and all assignments, tests, things like that that have due dates show up in the global calendar here. And there is also a link here, an external calendar link, where students can copy this and add it to their Google Calendar. So they can have their assignments show up on their Google Calendar too. So that's a great way of keeping students on task. So I'm going to check the due date here. If I want it to be due at the end of day, I don't choose midnight because that means 12 a.m. on the current date. I want it to be end of day, which is 11:59 p.m. Then one other thing I want to show you here on the screen is submission details, because sometimes students mess up when they submit an assignment. They chose the wrong document or something, and then they can't go back and change it. So if you allow multiple attempts, and say I just allow 2 attempts, that lets them mess up once and then still submit the assignment again. This is also great for drafts too. So you might require students to do a draft, or you might have them turn in their paper and say, if you're not happy with your grade, you can use my comments to make some changes and submit your paper again, and I'll grade it and you'll get the higher of the 2 grades. Or you can change this to say, I'll average the 2 grades together and you'll get that grade. So you can let students submit multiple times. The rest of these things you don't need to really worry about, and then I'll go ahead and hit submit. Now, when I hit submit, I've got my assignment here, and I can tell it's an assignment because of this little icon with the pencil and the ruler. But it also created a column in the grade center for me. So if I go to the grade center, I can now see this paper 1 column. So it automatically connects to the grade center. When a student submits their work, so I'm actually going to go in as a student again, close that, there you go. So I'm going to go in as a student. Oh, I hit it. Let me unhide that. Okay, so I'm going to go in as a student. I'm going to click on content. And here's my paper. And here's the due date. Shows how many points are possible. Here are the instructions that I typed in there too. And now I'm going to browse my computer for my assignment. And I'm going to submit that. And here's my assignment. It will be converted so I can see a preview of it. And once I get a grade, I'll be able to see it here too. So I'm going to exit this preview now. And as the instructor, when I want to see that, in the Grade Center, there's this Needs Grading button. And when I click on Needs Grading, I can see assignments that are submitted. And I can view the student's assignment. I can grade them and give them feedback. And the students will be able to see the grade and the feedback. We'll be doing more with this grading stuff this afternoon in this afternoon's webinar. So if you're not signed up for that, I encourage you to do that. So what I'd like to do now is to give you a little bit more work time and give you another assignment to do. So this time what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to create an announcement. And I'd like you to put a link to a web address in there, just so you could practice putting links into items. And then the other thing I'd like you to do is to create an assignment and then go in as a student and submit an assignment. So you can see what that looks like from both the teacher and the student perspective. Okay, so the two parts of this activity are the first one is the announcement with the link. The second part is creating an announcement and submitting it as a student. And another thing that I'll quickly show is when you are in Blackboard and you are looking at one of your items in your course, you can, in this little drop down next to the item, you can do statistics tracking. And when I do that, it brings me to this just little on-off switch, and it's by default, it's turned off. So I have to manually turn it on, and you have to manually do it on each item. There's no like quick way to do a whole bunch of them at a time. So it says enabled statistics tracking, and this one has a report right here. You don't go to the report area. And if I do the statistics tracking, then I would just hit this run. And it would ask me dates. Do I want to see a particular user or the whole class? So I would just use these dates. I'd click on this person and hit submit, and it will run the report to see how many times has that person clicked on that particular item. So that's a little cumbersome. I think the reports are a little bit more helpful, but that's certainly one way of tracking that too. One last little thing I'll show you that you think that might be helpful, particularly if you're using the learning modules. I'm going to go back to this course content area, and here's my week 1 introduction, and I'm in edit mode here, so I'm going to see them all listed one on top of each other, not paged out like the student sees it. What I also recommend doing for each of these items is clicking on the drop-down menu next to it and then setting the review status. So the review status by default is disabled, but if you enable it and hit submit, you don't see anything different here except it says enabled review and enabled review. But let me go in as the student and you'll see what happens for a student. So I'm going to go to my course content and that module 1. And for this first item, now I have a checkbox. I know, oh, I read this page already. I checked it off. I'll go to the next page. Oh, I didn't do this one yet. So once I'm done doing this assignment, I can come back here and check it off to let myself know I've gone through this part of the course already. So it's just a self-check. There's nothing to keep a student from checking it if they haven't read it, so it's not like a way of you assessing whether they've read it or not. It's just a tool to help them stay organized.